Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Panther Pourri. I'm your host, Jacob Langsam. Here with me, as always, are my co-hosts, TJ Peterson and Alex Lopez. And I need to issue a formal apology to everyone with whom I argued that Sam Bennett was a tradable asset. The Panthers have taken Game 2 against the Bruins in Boston of this playoff series by a score of 6-3. You would have to go back to the end of last season to find the last time that Boston allowed 6 goals in its own barn. Compared to Game 1, it's no contest. This was a different team. And Bergeron's still out for Boston. Sam Bennett makes his return, comes back for the first game in a month. First shift, you can feel the Sam Bennett effect for this team. And he ends up scoring the first goal for the Panthers.
Yeah, you're forgetting one thing that was included in all the changes. Giovanni Smith was out of the lineup.
That too. Sam Bennett's return forced Giovanni Smith out of the lineup. So while I would like to issue a formal apology to the Sam Bennett apologists, of which I am now very firmly one, I would equally like to offer a very firm in your face to all the Giovanni Smith apologists who questioned what the team would do without him.
Yeah, amazing that all this grit and toughness that he brought, without him in the lineup, the Panthers scored 6 goals.
There's one other person that we have to apologize to. Paul Maurice, we're sorry. You got it absolutely right.
Pretty well.
I mean, there's nothing else to say. He got everything right tonight.
Adjustments
everything right.
were beautiful tonight.
He did one thing wrong.
What was that?
Starting the power play with your second power play, and then they immediately give up a shorthanded goal.
Okay. But what was the first unit doing for the last 2 games?
At least they weren't giving up shorthanded goals.
You could argue that, but you could also argue that the second unit deserved a few extra seconds because of how well the personnel on that unit had been playing relative to the personnel on the first unit.
I know, but that pass by Duclair was so bad.
All right, you know what? So that was a moment in the game that you thought was going to turn in a very different direction than it ended up going in, because I don't remember exactly when Marchand scored, but at that point, almost half of the game, maybe a little bit more than half the game had elapsed, and only 1 goal had been scored. And there ended up being 9 total goals.
Yeah.
And this looked like, I was pretty happy with the way the game was going in the first 30 minutes, because I thought, well, the Bruins are the better team at this point, but the Panthers have done so much better at preventing A-plus opportunities for the Bruins. Everything was from the outside. Everything Lyon could see and had a chance to make a save on. And that's really all you can ask. And Lyon was making all the saves. That one was one you don't expect him to make on the Duclair turnover. But then Eric Stahl scored, and then Brandon Montour scored twice, and Carter Verhaeghe scored, and E2 scored on an empty netter, and that was not the way I saw the game going at that point at all. I thought, maybe the Panthers would win, but you would think 2-1, gritty, playoff-type win. They learned their lessons from the Lightning series, where the Lightning just made sure they bended but didn't break defensively and capitalized upon the mistakes the other team made. And generally, that's what I thought the Panthers did in this game. I think that there were some mistakes that they made that they need to clean up that were unforced errors, but the structure was on point, I thought. They were not giving up the odd man rushes. They were not giving up the A-plus looks with any real regularity.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a lot better tonight than they were on Monday, just all around. I mean, I'll be honest, though, I wasn't comfortable tonight until Montour made it 5-2, because even at 4-2, I was just like, there's going to be another bad bounce. The Bertuzzi goal was just so lucky. He was not even trying. He was trying to get his, out of the way.
Yeah,
out of the way, and it hit him. and it was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me! Like, it just felt like one of those games where they were going to get brutalized by a bad bounce in the last minute, but they found the way, and then they added on. The power play is still non-existent.
Yeah.
I don't really want to spend too much on negatives. I mean, Barkov, I think, was better, but he still needs to be better.
Yeah.
I did love that Maurice finally put the Verhaeghe, Bennett, Kachuk line back together, because for a while that was the best line in the NHL while it was together. Like, they carried the Panthers for a good couple of weeks, and then Sam Bennett got hurt and the line got broken up. But like that change made a difference. I mean, Verhaeghe got a goal. I think that line is just the way the Panthers need to be, and I also like, Reinhart and Luosterainen and Barkov as a line, because it's just been so far this season.
Yeah, I think that he's actually been better in the playoffs than he was in the regular season up until the moment that he wasn't, and had a pretty self-destructive moment. But
the pass was so bad, John Tortorella fist pumped. There's the joke.
God damn it, you asshole! Fuck you, Don Tortorella. How many playoff wins do you have this year? Fucking 0. Anthony Duclair's got 1.
Oh my God!
You can say whatever you want. Look, I'm just saying facts, Jacob.
What's in that Dr. Pepper, TJ?
This is a bubbly, or however you pronounce it, Michael Bublé.
Whatever.
It's a seltzer water, basically.
So you got seltzer water and vodka?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm drinking Boston Tears. That's what I'm drinking tonight.
That's a good answer. Just to cap on something that Alex was mentioning, I am limiting, or with a minimum. Whoa, not a minimum of 837 minutes. That's too many minutes for a minimum. With a minimum ice time of 100 minutes as a line, Kachuk, Bennett, Verhaeghe was the 15th best line in the league this regular season.
Is that good?
Just to put that in perspective, there are 32 first lines and then 32 second lines. So our second line, quote unquote, is a top 15 line by Money Puck's expected goals percentage. By the way, if you remove the ice time filter, do you want to know who the Panthers' top line by expected goals percentage is?
Based on tonight, I bet it's Eric Stahl, Nick Cousins, and Colin White. Because they were fantastic. They were so good.
It is none of them. None of those players are on it.
Wait, are you talking about the playoffs or all season?
Regular season.
I don't know. Just tell us.
I'm going to say something.
With a 10-minute ice time minimum. Alex, your guess?
I knew it. I knew it was going to be some bastard line of, like, Barkov, Stahl, and, like, Luosterainen.
You guys are still aiming too high. With a whopping 83.3% expected goals for Ryan Lomberg, Chris Tierney, and Giovanni Smith.
All right. I told you we would regret losing Chris Tierney because he's on our best line.
Clearly, Giovanni Smith was carrying that line.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah, those 11 minutes of ice time are a really significant sample size.
Before we just don't discuss it anymore, I said Colin White, Nick Cousins, Eric Stahl, great line. Do you guys want to comment on that?
I thought they were very good tonight. I haven't looked at the analytics at all from this game. I'm going to pull it up now as we speak. But I thought that line was good.
Yeah, I think that we're looking at I think going forward, you want this Kachuk line to be your scoring line. And thus Verhaeghe has to be on it. I don't think that Duclair can play in the top 6 at this point. Like, he's just not ready. Like, he didn't get enough training. He didn't get the preseason in, jumping into the middle of the season without your full conditioning. He's just not really up for that yet. And I think that, honestly, you might just need to use Barkov's line as your shutdown line. And, I mean, there's a lot of guys on Boston that you need to try to shut down. David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron might be coming back. And even if those two wingers are separated, I mean, Taylor Hall is probably going to be playing with one of them. So if you got Barkov on Pastrnak and you say that they play each other to a draw, I would take that, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without blinking an eye.
Although, yeah, that's assuming that Bergeron doesn't come back, because then you have to figure out a way to neutralize him.
Just throw Nick Cousins on him. Problem solved. I'm sure. That'll work.
Yep, that'll work great. Did you guys know that the Stahl brothers' names in the individual stats on Money Puck are still highlighted in rainbow?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't unhighlight them until they retire.
That's fair.
Frankly,
I did not. I thought that was like a short-term gimmick. It's still there.
I think they did every single player
That's awesome.
Refused and then made a comment about it.
They should. They should just do it for every player. You know what? And do it for every Islander, because they didn't have a Pride night and they're down 0-2
Same with
in
Chicago,
their
I
series.
guess.
And Chicago didn't make the playoffs, and they'll probably lose the lottery. Bad karma. You know what I mean? Brandon Montour, a couple of goals. Now, it's not like he dangled past 5 guys and sniped top corner. Although I guess he did kind of snipe top corner.
Did kind of snipe. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned this way early on in the season, maybe even in like season preview, talking about the team. Brandon Montour, for being a defenseman, one of his most valuable assets is his wrist shot. It's an incredible wrist shot. Like, his shot is so good. I would love to go back to our earlier episodes from this season and try to find the clip where I talked about Fuck you, Alex.
No, I'm more just like, is it time we rip on the officiating for how that game ended?
I don't know if it's worth it, man.
I mean,
I'm walking on sunshine, but it was not good, not at all.
If Thomas Nosek doesn't, I mean, one, how do they not call a penalty on the play?
They didn't see it.
Must not have seen it. Yeah, that's the only answer I got.
I know. I agree.
That's it. So we're going to kind of talk about Leafs Lightning a little later, but if Bunting's hit is 3 games, that's got to be at least 1 and probably more.
Yeah, the difference is going to be that Chernak has a concussion and missed time. Stahl ended up back on the ice, so that's probably how it's going to get either just a fine or 1 game. I am simply going to point out, remember when Sam Bennett got a game for hitting someone too hard?
Yeah.
Just hitting someone too hard. Ahead. Just hitting someone too hard, he got a playoff game.
Yeah,
if Thomas Nosek doesn't get at least 2, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, and I mean, it's got to be a suspension for Game 3 at absolute minimum. Like, he's intending to hit Stahl in the head.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any ambiguity about it. Just like there was no ambiguity about what Bunting did. He was trying to hit Chernak high.
But how does this affect the Leafs?
Right, exactly. Alex Lyon, you really can't ask for too much more. The third goal was bad. Third goal was bad, but at that point it did not matter because you were up 6-2 and there was like 2 minutes left.
And even if you wanna count that third goal, like really count it against him, it was the only even strength goal he allowed all night.
Yeah.
Was the first goal officially on the power play? Because I know it was like with like a second.
It was shorthanded.
Yeah, the
other
first
one
goal
was
was
on
the
the power
Marchand
play.
goal.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the.
Yeah, the Bertuzzi tip in.
It was with 2 seconds left, I think.
Whether or not that officially counts as a power play goal,
it's a power play
goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Lyon was great. I mean, yes, the third goal was a stinker, but it's 6-2 at the time.
Right.
And the reality is, at that point, everyone was just focused on who they were going to hit at the next whistle.
Especially Alex Lyon.
Yeah.
Alex Lyon was like, I don't need to
protect
protect this puck. Who am I going for? What are the odds that we get a goalie fight in this series? I would love Lyon versus Olmark.
I don't see Olmark fighting anybody.
No, I don't either.
I don't see Lyon fighting anybody either.
Maybe if like we do get to like
completely
Game 5 and the Panthers are up 3-1 and Olmark is like, fuck it, it's now or never.
I scored a goal. I'm getting in a fight this year. It's happening.
Goalies should count for Gordie Howe hat tricks over the course of a season. If a goalie gets in a fight, a goal, and an assist over the course of a season, that should qualify as a Gordie Howe hat trick.
It should absolutely count. I mean, does Ullmark even have an assist this season?
Know.
Probably. I mean, the Bruins scored a lot of goals, so he probably has one. Do you guys think Ullmark's going to play in Game 3? Like, do you think that he was part of the reason that they lost that game? Because the only one that I really thought he was iffy on was the Verhaeghe goal, because he just was so slow to move side to side.
That was a well set up play.
It was, yeah.
I mean, I don't think if you're the Bruins, you are playing for you're playing for a long playoff run, not just, oh, hey, we lost tonight, we need to panic. Ullmark wasn't bad. I think you start him again in Game 3. Now, if the Panthers win Game 3 and it's another,
6-2
type of game,
yeah.
Despite, how well he plays, then you go to Jeremy Swayman because you have literally one of the top 10 goalies in the NHL as your backup this year. Just that's how good the Bruins tandem was. But, yeah, I don't...
I will point out that Swayman started both games this year for the Bruins at FLA Live Arena, and everybody remembers how those went. So I'm not necessarily scared of them making that switch. But, I mean, I'm scared of the Bruins in general,
Yeah.
so it's not like that really affects it. Like,
Right, that's
despite
a
what we
better
saw
way
tonight.
of phrasing that. It's not that you're scared of a goalie switch, but the team as a whole is frightening.
Yeah. Yeah. But advantage Panthers at this point because they have taken home ice, quote-unquote. 5-game series, 3 of the games will be at FLA Live Arena as long as they don't lose the next 3.
True.
Fingers crossed. And, it will be pretty fun to see how this goes. I mean, they're playing with house money, no expectations. They said at the beginning of the season that they were kind of punting on the year, and here they are. They're, 3 wins away from knocking out the best team in NHL history, quote-unquote.
Yeah, let's call it the best regular season team in NHL history.
Yeah, regular season team. I agree.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say they're playing with house money just because even with the step back, the expectations were, hey, this team's going to comfortably make the playoffs, probably be in the second round. So, but I don't want to nitpick. They are playing with house money in the sense that they're playing the number 1 seed in a team that was the runaway President's Trophy winner. So, it just they had the final punch and knocked you out rather than like whatever. But yeah, I'm happy.
Anything else to go over from Game 2 or to preview Game 3?
Barkov still needs to be better. I know I already mentioned it, but I was looking at the advanced stats. My God, they need Barkov. They need Barkov. Bergeron's eventually going to be back. You cannot expect
I don't know, because Montgomery did come out and say it's nuts today. Bergeron's hurt. So I personally would be surprised to not see Patrice Bergeron at all this series. But he's not just sick and he's hurt.
Yes. But I think it's going to be like Sam Bennett. When Montgomery feels like they are in trouble, Bergeron's going to be back in the lineup regardless of how he is, where he is with that injury.
I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier about, I think at this point, what I would do is I would try to line match Barkov onto Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand, and if they don't use them all together, whichever line has 2 of them, because I can't imagine they're going to be on 3 separate lines. So if it's Bergeron with Marchand, I think I would still put Barkov on that line, even though Pasternak's probably the best offensive player.
Yeah, well,
the other 2 are just so good.
The fun thing about this is, for whatever line has 2 of them, you put Barkov. And for whatever line has the other one, you've got Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett waiting behind him. So,
good luck with that.
if you're going to split them up, then we have Barkov and Tkachuk split. So, things even out.
Yeah, and Maurice will be able to line match now, which really helps.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it goes in Game 3, which will be Friday night at 7:30 at the FLA Live Arena. Get your tickets now.
And at the very least, the buzz at the beginning of the game will be palpable.
Yeah.
We'll have the loud crowd going, and maybe the game won't go so great, but the energy is going to be there. It's going to be a great
Why would you put
atmosphere.
that energy out there